So related to spacing effects, spacing things apart, there's a great deal of research on what's called interleaving versus blocking. So if I have several things to learn, I could do what's done basically everywhere in the real world. I give practice on one of those things, then I give practice on another, then I give practice on a third. This is particularly prevalent in, for example, sports or skills training. I'm learning tennis, and I will work on my forehand, and then there'll be a session where I work on the backhand, and then maybe a session on the serves, and that only seems sort of sensible. Let's focus on one thing at a time, and this is kind of everywhere in the real world, as I mentioned. But motor skills researchers noticed, starting 30, 40 years ago, that actually, if you gave the same number of learning trials, but interleave them, then performance was better on the long term. You looked better with the blocked practice during the training, but you learned better with the interleaved practice. And in motor skills, many different things were used that demonstrated that. So for example, one study had people learn to play badminton, and I don't play that much myself, but there's apparently 3 different serves you can use in badminton. One is kind of a short serve that I guess just goes barely over the net. The other one is a high serve that goes to the back of the court. And then there's some kind of, I guess, overhand or a serve that's called a drive serve. These are different, quite different. And the researchers contrasted blocked practice on each of those 3 different serves versus where you got the same number of practice trials but all interleaved. And their results are like so many others in this domain that if you looked during the training process, it looked like blocking was much better. You can see why instructors would be fooled, or learners themselves. But then when you measured either long-term retention or, interestingly, transfer, so in this case of the badminton thing, they did all of the training from the right side of the court. And then the testing later was either from that side or from the left side. The interleaving produced better performance, better learning. And so what's happened in recent years is we've found that this is true for conceptual learning as well, that you are learning verbal conceptual material. In a study that we did that has been followed up a number of ways, we had people learn painters' styles. So they would see 6 examples of a given painter's paintings. These were all kind of pastoral landscape scenes. And they'd see 6 examples of a given painter's paintings, either right in a row, which you might think would then help them see the commonalities and see that style, or interleaved with paintings by other painters. And then the final test was they would see new paintings and be asked which of the artists you studied painted this painting. It's not one you saw before. So you'd have to detect what the style was to say that who it was. And so we either blocked the examples by each of 12 painters or interleaved them. And then when we tested people, there was a surprising advantage for the interleaving, which you might think would make it hard for people to notice the commonalities across the 6 paintings by one painter. But what appears to happen is it may have led them to be able to discriminate among the painters better. That's the current idea. And then they were better. But a crucial aspect of that and the follow-up studies is after the test phase, when we asked people who had the paintings presented both ways, either blocked or interleaved with paintings by other painters, which help you learn better, blocked or interleaved? These same people who had just performed better on the interleave paintings were like 80% of them said blocking helped them learn better. It just is a great example of how your own sense of whether you've learned can be misleading. In this case, the blocking of 6 paintings by one artist leads you to have a sense of kind of fluency. Ah, I see it. Whereas the interleave, there's more of a sense of kind of a struggle. Oh, how's that one, this and that. And people take that fluency as a measure of learning when it's not.